Your Olympic hero has arrived. It's true, it's true.
You're watching Fugitive Redeye, and second Redeye Raw of the day, third video overall. Today I'm going to talk about flawed yet relatable characters, which actually touches on something I mentioned forever ago, which is the idea of an evil protagonist as well. So I'm going to start off with that, and then I'll go into the actual characters that are flawed yet relatable. So as far as an evil protagonist, I think the best example I can actually think of is the Rob Zombie's, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects trilogy. Not so much House of a Thousand Corpses itself, because they were really the antagonists, but in Devil's Rejects and Three from Hell, evil protagonists easily. Like, they're straight up evil, but they're also the main protagonists. So, there you go. There's an example of that. In addition to that, I would say A Clockwork Orange, kinda, but especially at the beginning, absolutely at the beginning. But A Clockwork Orange does a very good job at taking a character that's like pure evil, ruthless piece of shit, and making you sympathize with him by the end, which is a very unique feat. So that's one of the characters I was going to mention was Alex DeLarge, the main character from A Clockwork Orange, is a total evil piece of shit character at the beginning of the movie. He beats homeless people up, he robs people, he rapes people, he kills a lady. He's just bad. But, like, by the end of it, you actually end up sympathizing with him just because he goes through his own character arc where, he gets tortured, he gets brainwashed, he gets, beat up by his former friends who are now cops, ironically, because they were also criminals. So, it's a very interesting movie. A Clockwork Orange is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's my favorite Stanley Kubrick movie by far. The Shining's good too, but Clockwork Orange is fucking phenomenal. Another character I would say is, flawed yet relatable, but isn't a protagonist, would be Yoshikage Kira. In my opinion, Yoshikage Kira is the most relatable character in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And I say relatable for a reason, which I'll get to in a moment. Obviously, his uncontrollable urge to kill and blowing women up, that's not the relatable part, but he does just want to live a quiet life. He's not obsessed with being number one. He says, why be number one when you can be number two? He just wants to keep to himself and just be left alone. Now, obviously, he's also a serial killer, so, I mean, leaving him alone isn't good for the town as a whole. But the sentiment behind Kira's ideology as far as wanting to live a quiet life is relatable. And I think that's part of what makes Part 4 of JoJo so entertaining, is because of how relatable Kira is. He's such a good Kira. I fucking love Kira. Easily the best JoJo villain. He's a sympathetic villain. Much like Rio from Devilman is a sympathetic villain. And yes, he is a villain. God is not the villain of Devilman. You can make an argument for Devilman Lady and possibly Devilman Saga, I don't know. But Devilman, Rio is the villain. Plain and simple. But yeah, he's a sympathetic villain, because, God, killed off a lot of the demons and was turning against them, and Rio was helping fight against God to protect the demons, but then he did the exact same thing to the humans that God did to him. So it's like, that's why he's the villain, is because he was doing the same thing. But yeah, very good sympathetic villain. Obito from Naruto Shippuden, very good sympathetic villain. I love Obito's backstory, one of my favorite arcs in Naruto. Good stuff overall. Other than that, there's plenty of good examples of flawed yet relatable characters, right? Like, I would say the anime version of Amano Jaku is a great version. The manga, he is likable to an extent, but, like, he's a lot more of a dick and a lot less likable in the manga than he is in the anime. But overall, yeah, I would say that the anime version is more likable. There's plenty of great examples. I do think that characters who are flawed are what makes it so entertaining a lot of the time, because they're relatable even more because of that. For instance, let me give another good example, right? So, Light Yagami is not particularly relatable, because he had, like, a perfect life and, like, got straight A's, did great with women, even though he didn't care about women. He is just smooth in everything, and everything was handed to him on a silver platter. But when he gets the Death Note, his strong sense of justice causes him to go on and start killing criminals. And again, as I said before, I don't side with Light anymore, per se. He's still my favorite character in the series because I find him the most interesting. But I have much more of an L mentality now. But when I first watched Death Note, back when I was in high school, I thought that Light was... I identified a lot with Light because I used to have a very moralistic, absolutionist view of things. I used to actually think a lot like that. So that's how he was relatable, despite the fact that in his actual personal life and everything, not a very relatable character. Now, granted, characters don't have to be relatable to be great characters. Just really how interesting they are, I think, is what does it. But yeah, there's plenty of... I keep saying that. I'm going to try to cut that out, because that's fucking frustrating, how I just keep repeating the same phrases. But, yeah. Overall, I think Flawed characters are better than Goody Two-Shoes characters. Obviously, there's arguments to be made for both. You know, completely... I'm going to switch gears and switch topics completely, which may seem a bit odd, but fuck it. Let me take shonen anime for an example, right? Older shonen anime had big, muscular, badass, you know, buff boys that were the best, that were the heroes. And now it's just like scrawny, wimpy high school students that look up to the big buff boys who are the main characters. And, well, I think there are valid, good examples of both. This is going to be contradictory, but I actually prefer the older versions, you know, like, Kenshiro and, you know, the first 3 JoJo's and stuff like that. But, I feel like muscle men in manga are pretty enjoyable. You know, there's Guts from Berserk, fucking great character. Everyone from, like, there's Gona Guy's works, like, there's Akira Fudo from Devilman, Violence Jack, which, yeah, you know, same person, but whatever, different continuity. Anyway, I think I've rambled on enough. That's really all I had to say. I got off topic here at the end. But there's a lot of good, flawed, relatable characters. Yoshikage Kira, I think, is the best example out of this video, personally, just because I really identify with Kira's wanting to live a quiet life. That's, like, one of my main goals in life, is to just do my thing and not have to worry about everyone else. But anyway, that's it. Toodles.
I got what I wanted.
I'm gonna fucking die here, Jack!